In 2022, the average South Korean spent around $325 on personal luxury goods. That figure, reported by Morgan Stanley, was the highest of any country in the world, surpassing even the United States and China. A country of 51 million people on a peninsula the size of Indiana outspent every other nation on Earth when it came to luxury per person. So the question is not simply, why do Koreans buy expensive things? The question is, what kind of society produces that number, and what it reveals about the pressures quietly shaping everyday life. Morgan Stanley estimated that South Korea's personal luxury goods market was worth roughly $14 billion in 2022, despite the country having a fraction of the population of the United States or China. According to Euromonitor International, Korea consistently ranks among the top 5 luxury markets globally in absolute terms. The consultancy Bain and Company has noted that Korean consumers account for a disproportionately large share of global luxury sales relative to their population. Department store chains in Korea, most notably Lotte, Shinsegae, and Hyundai, have individually reported flagship store annual revenues that rival the top-performing luxury retail venues in Paris and New York. And Statistics Korea data shows that household spending on clothing and personal goods has remained elevated even during periods of broader economic slowdown, suggesting the category is treated less like discretionary spending and more like a fixed social expense. The roots go back further than the designer handbag boom. Korea compressed what took Western countries a century of industrialization into roughly 3 decades. By the 1990s, a generation that had grown up in genuine scarcity found itself with disposable income for the first time, and almost no inherited tradition of quiet, understated wealth to draw on. In societies where old money exists, status can be performed invisibly. In Korea, wealth was new, visible, and needed to be communicated quickly. Sociologists who study Korean consumer behavior, including researchers at Seoul National University, point to a concept called nunchi, a constant, fine-tuned awareness of how one is perceived by others, as a cultural amplifier of status consumption. Add to this the structure of Korean society, a tight hierarchy of universities, companies, and neighborhoods, where your perceived position shapes your access to social networks, marriage prospects, and even job opportunities. A luxury good is not just a product. According to economists at the Korea Development Institute, it functions as a legible credential in a society where credentials matter enormously. The consequences are not abstract. A survey by the Korea Consumer Agency found that a significant share of young Korean adults in their 20s and 30s had taken on debt or delayed saving for retirement in order to maintain spending on fashion and lifestyle goods. The phenomenon has its own vocabulary in Korean. The word balri, which describes a pressure to move fast and keep up, has evolved to describe the anxiety of falling behind socially. The Bank of Korea has flagged household debt as a persistent structural risk, and consumer credit data suggests that discretionary lifestyle spending plays a meaningful role in that burden. There is also a generational dimension. For older Koreans, luxury was earned after sacrifice. For younger Koreans entering a labor market that the OECD has described as deeply bifurcated, with sharp divides between stable large company jobs and precarious ones, a luxury item may be the one domain where equality feels achievable, even temporarily. The cost, then, is not only financial, it is the quiet reinforcement of a status system that the spending is simultaneously trying to escape. Korea's luxury economy is not an anomaly. It is an accelerated version of a pattern visible wherever rapid economic growth meets a society with steep social hierarchies and weak inherited wealth traditions. China saw a version of it in the 2000s and 2010s. Vietnam and Indonesia are showing early indicators now, according to Bain and Company's Asia Luxury Reports. What Korea makes unusually visible is the mechanism itself. When a society offers limited ways to signal achievement, consumer goods fill the gap. The deeper question Korea poses to the rest of the world is not whether people should buy expensive things. It is what kind of social architecture makes visible symbols feel like necessities. And the answer to that, in Korea or anywhere else, has very little to do with fashion.